Hello, in today's video we're going to be talking about cooking on a campfire. So this is my cooking setup for campfire cooking. It consists of a tripod and a basket that hangs over the top of the embers. When I'm cooking on a campfire, that's how I like it to look. So there's no actual flames, you've just got hot embers from the bottom, and that makes it really ideal for cooking on your stove. So when I'm out here with the participants, I don't tend to use anything that could go wrong, i.e. things that I would see could be a little bit hazardous, because obviously you haven't got a fridge while you're out here, although it is possible to keep things cool in a cool bag. I'll tend to stick to things that I know are going to be safe to eat raw or cooked, or even partly cooked. Things like sweet corn, for an example. We eat a lot of sweet corn in our forest school session, so I'll get a piece of corn on the cob, and which I'm going to demonstrate later. Place it on the fire with some butter over it, wait till it goes a nice golden brown, and chow down. And that's what we do in forest schools. So I'll take you a quick walk around my setup a minute. So over here is my clean zone. So obviously you want to make sure all your participants have got clean hands. So in my clean zone, it consists of some wet wipes and some anti-bac. And what I would get my participants to do is wipe their hands with the wet wipes, put the wet wipes in the bin provided, then use the anti-bac on their hands just to make sure that it's safe for them and their hands are clean enough to eat. Then obviously we would start cooking. So I've got a couple of things on my table here, you can quite see. This is important as well, is a nice clean surface. So this is, like I say, this is a clean area, so it's a little table I keep to keep all the ingredients on and to keep all my clean stuff. And after it's been used, then I get them all to put them in on the other side, my dirty area, which is at the moment it only has my popcorn maker in it, which needs a good wash. So you always want to make sure that your participants have got nice clean hands before they are in contact with anything edible and before they eat it. So today we're going to be cooking sweet corn. So again, it's bought from a local shop. It's just corn on the cob. And what we're going to do is we're going to put one of my forks through it. See if I put that down a bit, you'll see it better. So I bought these forks from Amazon. They're a great bit of kit they are. So they're on like an aerial and they extend. And there's a wooden handle. So we're going to put the corn on the cob on there. We're going to hang it over the top of the fire, and then we're going to put some butter on it, and it'll go a nice goldeny crispy colour, and then they're really juicy, very good. Kids love them. And for butter, I buy little tubs like so. So these little tubs then we use for spreading over the butter. And this is my dinner. I wouldn't normally use this for the kids, but I do love a bit of bacon grill. So I would normally, with the children, I stick to things that I know, like I say, I know that are safe. So I'm going to be having my bacon grill and egg sandwich later. But this is another thing I like to cook down here as well. Nice, simple and easy. So you just boil a bit of water, chuck it in, stir it for a couple of minutes, and wham bam, thank you man. I've got napkins here as well, so make sure they've got napkins. Always carry fresh water. And this is my cooking utensils that I'm going to use to do my cooking on. So this is like I said, this is the basic setup. So it's nice and safe. It's in the centre of the fire circle, so obviously all my participants would be sat around as they would be with a normal fire, and all the normal rules apply, plus there's a few extra ones, and those extra ones are to make sure that food isn't burning when they put it in their mouth. So always make sure that food is cool before they eat it, and I get them to test their food out with a tender part of their body, because obviously if you use your fingertips, you know, it can be quite thick, and obviously if it's cold you're not going to feel it. So I just get them to hold the back of their hand over the top of it and see if it feels hot. Don't touch it, just hold the back of their hand over the top, see if it feels hot. If it feels hot, leave it a little bit longer. If it doesn't, then blow it, put it on a fork, blow it, and then see obviously if it's safe enough to eat. Other things that are really important as well while we're cooking out here is obviously keeping the food that you need hot and the food that you need cold. So what I have is a cooler pack with some frozen cooler cubes in it, so I'll put any food that I need to keep refrigerated or cool in there, and that gets stored in there. I have one bag that's used for that exclusively, so we don't use that for anything else other than keeping food cool. For keeping food warm, well, normally I'll use the fire. So like I say, it's an ideal condition now to cook food and to keep food warm. So if I wanted to keep something warm, I would move it to the edges a little bit, and it would still provide enough heat there then to keep my food warm. Sometimes as well as I'll put things in foil. So if I'm doing like jacket potatoes and beans, again, everything's vegetables in there, so you're not going to get food poisoning from it. So use jacket potatoes and beans is always a great one, with some cheese maybe on the top. The noodles I use a lot of as well. There's a great one called what is it called? It's called Lost the Plot. Fantastic. The kids love the chicken flavoured one, so I'll come down and we'll demonstrate cooking with that. And then we do sometimes as well cover some of the more natural ingredients that we find in our forest school area. So we'll have things like nettle tea. I've got these little baskets that they put nettles at the end of nettles in, and nettle tips. They put them in their baskets. We'll boil some water up then on our fire, and they'll make nettle tea and other teas as well. So we've got a lot of blackberries at the moment, so I can make a warm blackberry drink. Bovril is another one that I tend to bring up here as well for the kids. If they want to drink a nice hot drink in the winter, I'll bring some Bovril up. It's not to everybody's taste, Bovril, but a lot of the kids do enjoy it. For the kids that don't like Bovril, other things I bring up here is like hot chocolate, something like that. So and they can all have a turn then as to cook and make themselves hot chocolate. But it is age dependent. So the older kids are more involved in the cooking of things like hot drinks and stuff, because I think the risk goes up with a drink. Anything liquid really, the risk rises. So I tend to leave that for the older ones, or I'll make something up and I'll give it them out then myself, so I'll know it's safe then before they actually have it, and make sure they're all sat down, and I'll dish out their food for them then, for the younger ones. So yes, I'll pause this video here and I'll start making my dinner really. Okay, so for my corn on the cob, I just simply put it on one of my cooking forks like that, whack some butter all over the top of it, and then chuck it on the grill and keep turning occasionally until it's a nice golden colour. So it looks something like that with the butter over it. Now I'll just put it on the fire. So I've just cooked myself up some what I like to call ashwagandha. It looks disgusting, tastes sensational. So that's me finished with my ashwagandha. My sweet corn's taking a while, but it will, and the kettle's still boiling, and I'm going to make myself some nice chamomile tea to wash down my dinner now. When I'm using meats and stuff on the campfire, I'll look at using, under normal circumstances, I would look to be using corn or some vegetarian type meat. So again, it just, the best way of explaining it just makes things easier. You haven't got to worry so much about allergies, or you haven't got to worry so much about food poisoning or anything like that, because they're all made of natural, non-meaty products, which means that you alleviate a lot of the issues that you would get with food poisoning by cooking things like this. And it's good, I think, for the kids to see different methods and different ways of cooking this stuff. It doesn't come in instead of coming in a pack and just chucking it in the oven. The sweet corn, for example, I mean, very often I'm waffling. Shut up, Jeff. So another one that's quite popular with kids is popcorn. So I use microwavable popcorn. Comes in a bag. Supposed to put it in the microwave. Not me. I've got a popcorn machine. So I've made it out of two of these. You may have seen them before. I just wire them together, put them on a pole, whap the corn into the popcorn maker, and then hold it over the hot embers. Very important with this though, when you're cooking these microwavable ones, is don't put them anywhere that's too hot, because the butter that's mixed in with kernels will cook off before the popcorn's popped. So you want to make sure that you keep it. This is probably the last thing I'll cook on my campfire, so the embers will be right down low and it'll be a very slow but steady cooking process. So my kernels are in there ready. I'm just going to place them on a cooler part of the fire now and just let them pop off. Okay, so while my popcorn's cooking up now and my kettle is nicely boiled, I am going to make myself some tea. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit today. I love these. I don't know if you've ever had these before. Stunning. So I'm going to pop my tea bag in the cup and pour out my tea. So safety first, always make sure I've got my glove on. I've got a nice little table there. My cup's all ready, and then I'm going to pick up my kettle, carefully off the fire, pour in my hot water like so. Oh, smell that, lovely. Place it back on the fire. While I'm here, I'm gonna just check. I'm just gonna check on my sweet corn. A minute, that's looking lovely. There's a lot of corn on the go today. So that'll roast up nice. That will. I'm looking forward to that, and that's coming in a minute. Cheers, everyone. Okay guys, so my sweet corn's just about ready to cook, to eat now. I'll show it you there quickly. Looking very nice. And so I'll lift the sweet corn off the fire. You can quite see what I'm doing here, and then I'm going to push down in the retractable fork like so, and that makes it nice and stable. And I'm just going to chow down on this like so. Now obviously you won't want to, you've got to explain to your kids that things are going to be hot when you cook them, so I encourage them to hold them close to their lips but don't touch, and just to feel if it's hot, and then gently touch. If it's cool enough to eat, bite. If not, because you'll feel it on the sensitive part of your lips, so just hold it close and see how hot it is. Let me touch it with your tongue. Test first. Still a little bit warm for me there, and that'll ensure then that they don't burn themselves by going straight into a hot meal. Also guys, my popcorn's just started popping, so I just wanted to show you that a bit quickly. It's a slow process, but it's worthwhile doing, because there's not a kid in the world, I don't think, that don't like popcorn. So that's another thing you can do over your open campfire forest schools. Okay, so they've got their sweet corn like so. It's cool now and it's ready to eat. So just simply eat it off the cob, and it's delicious. Nice and juicy. Hi there. So to follow up from yesterday's video on cooking on a campfire, I just wanted to give you some of the ingredients and a quick, very quick description of how I cook them. We'll start off with the woodland food. So I use sweet chestnuts. So we'll collect some sweet chestnuts and we'll bring them back. I'll de-shell them. So I'll take the outer casings off until we're left with just the chestnut. Then I'll pierce the chestnut and across, and then I'll take them down to the forest and we'll fry them in a pot until they go quite dark, and you'll smell them anyway. They smell fantastic, so you'll smell them starting to cook. Fry them until they're dark all the way around, Then you let them cool down. They can be cold when you eat them. It doesn't have to be still warm. You take the shell off them then, using the piercing that you've put in there. You put the piercing in there for two reasons. One of them is to help you deshell it once they're cooked, and the other one is to make sure that they don't pop when they're getting hot. So you just pierce them in a cross shape on the side or on the bottom, it doesn't matter, and then you fry them in a pot. So other things that we cook for woodland food is we do a bit of a scavenge. I've got these little metal baskets, like tea bag baskets. So we'll go on a forage. I've got a lot of mint down here. I've got nettles, blackberries, things like that. So we'll gather all our ingredients for our tea and tinctures. Then we'll boil some water on the fire. We'll pour the water into the cups, and we'll put our mint or whatever into our little baskets. Drop our baskets into the hot water, leave it stew for a few minutes, and by this time then that gives it time for it all to cool down a bit and make it so it's more drinkable, and then we consume it as tea. Other things I cook down there, you may have seen me cook my hash magandi. So the ingredients for hash magandi are bacon grills. It comes in a tin, that does, so it's tinned. It's a bit like Spam. Fresh eggs, hash browns, and a tin of beans. And how you start to cook this is, so you'll cut the bacon grills into sections of about 1 centimetre thick. You fry them in a frying pan with a knob of butter, and you add in the hash browns at the same time. So you've got your hash browns and you've got your bacon grills in the frying pan. You turn them occasionally, make sure the hash browns and the bacon grill go crispy, so you know it is cooked. Then just throw 2 eggs in there, stir it all around until the eggs are cooked as well. Once the eggs are all cooked and it's all chunky, throw the beans in there, stir that until the beans get hot, and then it's ready to eat. And it is superb. It's one of my favourite meals. So that's my hash magandi. Other things I cook down there is corn on the cob. So we'll source some corn on the cob from our local produce. We'll bring it in then. We stab it with a fork. I've got these like extendable forks. They're really useful. They're good for cooking corn on the cob, and they're good for toasting, and they're good for marshmallows, although I don't tend to use marshmallows too often. So it's an extendable one, so it's on an aerial. So I push the fork through the corn on the cob, smear the corn on the cob with butter, and then place the corn on the cob on the fire and let it golden off. Once it's golden off, then you can either push the fork all the way back down into the handle and then eat with your hands, or you can remove it from the fork and just chew it. So that's my corn on the cob. Noodles is another one I like. There's one called Lost the Pot, which is the same make. It's the same make as pot noodles. It's in like a fluorescent orange packet, but there's no mushrooms in it. So it's literally just chicken flavour. The kids absolutely love them, and it's so easy to do. So it comes as dehydrated noodles. You open the noodles up, put them into a pot. You add a cupful of water, and you bring it to the boil. Once it's boiled, then there's a little sachet that comes with seasoning. You add the sachet, stir it around, then you dish it out, leave it cool, and it's ready to go. This meal's ready in 5 minutes. This is why I like it so much. The kids love it, and it's so quick to make. So it only takes you the amount of time it would to heat the water up, and it hasn't really even got to be boiling, as long as it's hot enough to allow the noodles to soak in the water, because it is dehydrated food. So another one I make is stir fry. This all comes from the supermarket, so I'll go down to the supermarket, get a couple of stir fry packs. I've got a wok. I just chuck it all in there with a knob of butter, fry it all off, leave it quite al dente. Then I'll add my noodle packets to it, so I'll buy some noodles as well. Mix it all together, add some soy sauce, and serve on a paper plate. So that's stir fry. It's easy, and because it's al dente as well, you don't need to cook it to death, because it's stir fry. And you know, you're quite safe because there's no meat products in there either. Other things, I think that's it actually. I think I've covered most of what I do down there. Oh, here's another one. Jacket potato. another one is quite simple. So this one I'll start off with, I'll give everybody a potato and some silver foil. They wrap their potatoes up in silver foil. We all take in turns then to place our potatoes onto the hot embers. We leave them there then for about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what it is. I'll come back and forth and I'll just pierce them and check them. And then at the end of the session then, I'll put a tin of beans on in a big pot, a couple of tins of beans on in a big pot, and we'll serve them on a paper plate with beans over the top of them. So easy, and again risk-free as well, because beans are all in a tin and a potato's a potato, you know, so it's either cooked or it isn't, and if it's not cooked you can't eat it, so it's not going to make you ill. And that's it, I believe. So that's all the ingredients covered and a quick how-to on how I do it. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed watching.